Hello and welcome to Jurassic Reviews. On this episode we'll be taking a look at one of my favorite figures in my collection, and it is also one of the rarest Bandai figures I have. That figure is the Bandai Movie Monster Series Titanosaurus from the 1975 film Terror of Mechagodzilla. This Titanosaurus figure stands about 7 inches tall, and is about 6 inches long from head to tail. Here's a quick look at the tag for this figure. The inside contains other figures from the line. This one has a 2002 tag, which is when it was first released. This same figure had releases in 2003 and 2004, so there's tags out there with those dates as well, though the 2004 one is a single sheet tag, and has the 50th anniversary logo on it. I actually have 2 of these figures in my collection. I got both of them for $16 each back in 2003 at G-Fest X, which was the first G-Fest I'd ever been to. I'm not sure why I ended up with 2, but I have a feeling one was for my brother and the other was for me. Prior to the release of this figure, Bandai had never produced a Titanosaurus figure before, and according to the site Club Tokyo, it was mostly Western fans that wanted a Titanosaurus figure made. Titanosaurus is not too well known, or at all really, outside of the Godzilla fandom. I always liked this monster though, despite his annoying cackle. He also took part in one of my favorite fights ever in a Godzilla film. Bandai did not disappoint with this figure, as I think it's among their very best. Despite being part of the 6-inch line, it is loaded with awesome details, and is very faithful to the design in the film. The body is covered in little dot-like scales that look great, and the chest is very smooth and armored looking. One of my favorite little details is the line on its back, which is actually supposed to represent the seam where the suit actor would get in and out. You wouldn't normally expect to see such a small but awesome detail on a figure like this, but I'm really glad they included it. The head on this figure is also great, and the little horns and fins are well executed. The mouth and teeth are about what you'd expect for a figure released in a cheaper price range, but it still looks good. The fin or sail on its head and back lead down to a much larger fin on its tail. The fin and its detail look fantastic. However, if there's one thing that's just a little off on this figure is that the tail is a little bit too small. But it's not too big of a deal. This fin of course is one of Titanosaurus' main weapons, using it to create huge gusts of wind to level cities. Moving to the paint, it's also another area that's really faithful to the film version. The majority of the figure is painted red, but it's also mixed in with some orange and yellow throughout the body. Speaking of the body, the spots covering it are painted black, though some closer to the sail on its back are unpainted. The chest is painted gold and it has a nice metallic look to it. And it's also worth noting that this armor-like part of the monster also continues underneath its tail and on the inside of its legs. The toenails and fingernails are painted white. Moving to the head, you'll find it has orange painted horns, and its sail is painted orange as well. They both have a metallic-like appearance. The large fin on the tail is also painted this color. The eyes are painted gold, and it has black pupils. Looking at the mouth, you'll find little white painted teeth, and the tongue remains the same red color found throughout the body. So overall, I think the paint job on this one is great. Bandai did an awesome job on it. Now let's move to the articulation, of which there is understandably very little, just 6 points. Its head can move and be rotated all the way around. The arms can be moved up and down. The legs can move back and forth. And the tail can be turned as well. There was one repaint of this figure, which was released as part of a set in 2005 or 2006 by Toys Dream Project. The set included a Godzilla 1975 figure to go along with it. Here's the front of the packaging to that set. And here's the back of it. This new paint job is similar, but different in quite a few ways. For one thing, the main colors are much darker overall, using a really dark red that has some black mixed in as well. There's also still some orange and yellow in there. The fins or sails are another area that's a bit different, instead sporting a yellow and pink color. They are also a lot less shiny looking than the first release. The chest is a much darker yellow color now. That's metallic and glittery looking. There's also a little bit of black paint on the sides. Other parts remain the same, like the teeth and eyes, though the fingernails and toenails have a little bit more yellow to them. I like this paint job just as much as the original, and they look great displayed next to each other. Here's a few more shots of them side by side. As I mentioned earlier in this video, this is a really rare figure. I think prices aren't as crazy as they used to be, but for one without its tag you're looking at $80 to $100. With its tag it can go for $120 or more depending on the quality of the tag. The Toys Dream Project release is also quite rare nowadays, and prices are very similar to the original release, maybe just slightly less. More often than not though, you'll find the Toys Dream Project release still in its box, which goes in the $150 to $200 range, maybe more. You can always get lucky and find these a little cheaper, but not by much. Before I give my rating for this figure, here's a comparison with other figures. Here it is with Gigan. Here it is with Destroya. Here he is with Godzilla 1974. Here he is with Mecha King Ghidorah. And finally, here he is with the rest of the monsters from Terror of Mechagodzilla. Mechagodzilla 1975 and Godzilla 1975. For a rating out of 10, I give both of these a 9.5. This is Bandai vinyl at its finest, and at the time of its release it was both cheap and highly detailed. The likeness to its movie counterpart is great, and the paint job is well done too. If you're looking for a Titanosaurus, this is a good one to hunt down. Despite the higher prices, every time I go to G-Fest, this one always seems to be a sought-after figure there among collectors, and that's completely justified. It's a fantastic figure. I highly recommend this one. And that does it for the Bandai Movie Monster Series Titanosaurus. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you next time.